Yeah, g'day, Brad from KLR again, and what I want to take you through today is a quick little problem that we see a lot with Defenders and Parentis as well, and I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this, but the plastic Speedo binnacle or the instrument binnacle. Now this one's quite bad, cracked here, cracked, the mount here is missing, mount down the bottom as well. To be honest, often we see these come in with duct tape across the top trying to hold it in place. Truly an awful bit of design, poor quality material, they all end up doing this. Now luckily we have a solution to this problem, and it's in the form of an Australian made steel replacement binnacle. Looks exactly like the original one, but it's 100% steel, powder coated in black. It does have an aluminium silver insert if you want to put that in there to give you, a cosmetic look really. It doesn't change the way it performs, but that's what we're going to fit today. Now, what a lot of people forget about though is not only is this a bit of a poor arrangement, but the mount here, this little bit of plastic that you barely see, is plastic as well. That's a very, very poor quality too, and there's almost no point replacing this if you don't replace the mount as well. A lot of you may not realise this is the mount itself, and this is an exact copy of the plastic one, but again, done here in Australia, 100% steel. We're going to fit that as well. The first step actually is to take the steering wheel off, but we've already done a video on that, so go and find that and have a quick look to remind yourselves. The next step is not really what you need to do here, but we've already taken the steering column shroud off. We're putting a new ignition barrel in, but the other thing I just will quickly show you, it's not really related to this job, but the indicator stalks on these are a little bit of a problem because they're just held on by what should be a plastic loop here. Now we actually found this laying on the floor, but that's what holds the indicator stalk on, which in turn supports this, which in turn supports the steering column. And when this breaks, everything just starts to move around. So that might be a job you're going to need to do one day, but we'll just put that out of the way for now. Right, next thing is basically undoing what's left of any mounts, and in this particular case, there's nothing. Like most of the screws are missing out of this. What you do need to be careful of is as you start to move this forward, you've got the Speedo cable in behind this side. Now, a lot of people forget with the Speedo cable, and I've already done this one, but there's actually a clip underneath the bonnet coming off the clutch pedal tower. You need to undo that so you can move the whole Speedo cable in towards you to give you enough room to unclip it, and there it goes. You need to be very, very careful with the end of that Speedo cable. They will break. Again, terrible bit of plastic, very fragile, very poor design. So once you've moved it forward a bit, you're starting to reveal the normal rat's nest that we find behind these dashes. This one's actually not too bad, actually. It's all fairly original, but there's a few things that you need to do. First of all, if you've never done this before, take photos. Take plenty of photos from every angle so you can see where each wire goes back. All of these gauges need to come out to be put into the new binnacle, so you're going to be unplugging every single one of these wires. So what we have here is all standard Lucas wiring colours. So here, red and white, that's gauge illumination, and there'll be one of those to every single gauge. On the Speedo, there's two. Any black wire is actually an earth wire, and one thing they do that we don't particularly like, but they use the gauge mounts here as a terminal post for earth points, and we see quite a few issues with these. As they get a little bit dirty, they come a little bit loose. That one's not too bad, but you can start to have earth problems, and you can see here, there's another earth onto that one. Down the end here, I think we've got 2 or 3 going onto the same one. Try and bundle them all together when you put it back together onto one post, and make sure all the terminals are clean. So even if you're only getting partial contact, it's still going to be good enough. Now moving on, white wires, that's unfused ignition. So you'll probably only have one of those going to the voltmeter. What you've also got, if I can find it, yeah, no, not that one, this one. So here, a green wire is fused ignition power. So that'll be going to your coolant temperature gauge and fuel gauge to power it up. And then each of the other gauges, so on temperature gauge here, you've got a green and blue wire. That's unique to the temperature gauge. And I just can't quite remember, on the fuel gauge, I think that's a green and black that I can see there. Photograph all of this if you want. The other thing you can do is cable tie or tie these together into groups according to each gauge, so it's going to make reassembly nice and simple. And the other little trick you've got up your sleeve is all of the illumination globes and their holders will just pop out, so you don't actually have to undo the wires off the back of them. And again, there'll be one of these per gauge. So we'll start by taking those out. But the important thing here, go slow and steady and make sure everything goes back exactly the way it is now. Otherwise you are going to be chasing problems. Right, that's basically everything right, okay. That's one of the reasons why we're replacing this. So that's basically the binnacle coming out. We'll swap that over shortly. The next thing though is to get the plastic mount itself out, and that's this bracket here, and it goes all the way back down there. Quite easy to get out, but we need to get the heater controls undone first. So I actually snuck ahead a little bit earlier and undid some of these screws to make life a little bit easier. So that's a heater control off the right hand side. Righto, and that's basically the left hand side done. Now just a quick little note, notice that's an M5 threaded bolt. It's not a self-tapper like most of the others, so remember that when you're putting it back together. So that's the heater controls undone. You don't actually have to need to disconnect them. The other screws, we've got this steel plate down the bottom here that needs to come out as well. That's going to go back in with the new mount. So again, just a couple of self-tappers there that need to come out. Now just a quick little note here, most of these screws so far seem to be original, but it's not unusual to come across tech screws, self-tappers, a mixture of anything really. So if you want, you can take the time to tidy everything up as you put it all back together. So that's the bottom plate out. You can clean that up and repaint it if you want to, but that's going to go back in. And then finally, there's usually 3 or 4 screws buried down in here that hold the mount in proper. So that's the top 2 out, but what we're coming to now, buried down the back here, there's one hidden in behind the demister duct. That's probably the worst screw in this whole job, but it has to come out.
A few moments later.
And there we have it. Now of course that's got to go back in again, but that is pretty much the plastic mount coming out. And as you can see, the new one is a pretty faithful copy of the old one, but made out of steel as opposed to, well, some average plastic. Oh, now I've almost forgotten, and to be honest this does catch me every time, before you throw the old mount out, you need to pop this little clip out here, or this little Land Rover technical term for it, I think fast nut or something like that. But anyway, it's a plastic insert for a self-tapper. That needs to go into the new mount. Righto, well that's everything out, and it does actually look like a little bit of a mess in there, but trust me, out of chaos will come order. Now of course you've taken photos along the way if you're not sure how it all goes back together, but really the new panels go back in, the exact reverse of taking them back out. Just a quick word on the fasteners we're going to use with this new binnacle. The kit comes with these M5 speed nuts. We get a bit of variation in these depending on the batches that are available. Sometimes you've got to drill this hole out a little bit bigger for this to clip in correctly. Once you've done that, it all fits together nicely. But the other option that you've got, and what we'll do on this one, we're just going to use the original speed nuts. It'll clip onto the bracket up there with some nice stainless steel screws. The reason we use a self-tapper is they give us a little bit more adjustment to get everything lined up. It's a very good way to go, but it's up to you really what you want to do there. And then the last thing I just want to talk about is the warning light binnacle holes here are actually M5. Some of the ones on the vehicle are M4, but that's no dramas. What you can do there, simply run a 5mm drill through the mounting holes, then use your own, like these are a stainless steel button head screw. They look nice in there, nice and easy, and screw it all together. Alright, and that's actually the job done. So before I show you the finished product, I just want to emphasise a couple of points. First one is that clip for the speedo cable on the clutch pedal tower. If you don't undo that, you're going to break your speedo cable. That's $150. Secondly, the little plugs for the warning light binnacle, just be careful with those. They are plastic, they can break. Thirdly, and this is probably the big one, label, tape, cable tie, photograph, whatever you've got to do with all those wires in there to make sure they all go back exactly the same way so everything works. And of course, the final point is, as long as you have put everything back together the way it came apart, you should really end up with a finished product that looks a little bit like this one. Much more rigid on the mount, and of course, everything works when you turn the key on. Right, so the upshot is those original plastic dashes in the Defenders and the Parentis will fail. If yours hasn't cracked already, it simply will. These steel ones, and as I said, Australian made, great quality, is the solution. This is what you all need to do. You can just do the Binnacle on its own and it will be better, but the proper job is to replace that mount as well. And of course, for more information, go to klr.com.au.